I don't deal with rejection well.
Me neither. Hi, I'm Gina.
And I'm Jen.
And this is Job Search Stories.
Today, we're going to chat about one of the hardest things to deal with, rejection. Whether it's a company rejecting you or you rejecting a company, rejection happens.
But we've got the ultimate rejection toolkit. Let's get into it. So we have a question from a viewer. Daniel wrote, I've never declined a job offer before, and I'm worried about burning bridges. Any tips?
Yeah, you don't want to burn a bridge.
Yeah, but it's hard because if a job's not right for you, it's just not right for you.
And it's hard to say no.
Yeah.
Right? So, Daniel, we've got some tips for you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, have you ever heard in your years of career coaching any crazy reasons why a person would want to decline a job?
I know of reasons why people have been declined a job.
Okay.
I've heard stories of people that were declined jobs working in retail because they didn't have the look that the company was going for.
Yeah, I have worked at one of those companies that to do that. Well, not name names, but yeah, they used to do that.
Yeah, I've heard of people not receiving offers because another candidate looked more mature than they did.
Ugh, gross.
Yeah. So they're not the best reasons.
Yeah.
They're not ones that I agree with. Yeah. But there are some stories out there.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes you just got to brush it off because it's not always rooted in reality.
Also, if that is the reason why you're not getting a job offer, that company sounds like it's probably not a good company to work for anyway.
Yeah, their loss. I think we can really get into how to handle rejection because it's hard. I think that we're not the only ones who have had to deal with handling rejection. So I have a friend's story that I want to share with you, and I kind of just want to get your thoughts on it. So my friend, they applied for a remote job, and they were at that job offer stage, and then they were told that they had to relocate to the state that the company was located in order to have and secure that remote job.
I feel like that's a real bait and switch.
But I think a lot of companies are doing that because they're like, we not going to be remote forever.
Yeah, but those are details they should make clear in the job description.
Yeah.
I
don't think that's fair.
I don't think it's fair either. And actually, it's really interesting because with more job descriptions being written by AI, and we'll talk about this, AI likes to infuse kind of like qualities that are clickable that people really want. And sometimes that's where the discrepancies happen. They are on-site positions, but AI puts that they're remote because it knows that's what people want.
It's like, ooh, remote
how do I
is
get
in.
ya?
Yeah. Oh, man. I don't like that, especially because some people just genuinely with remote, like that has just made life so much easier for some people because there's so many opportunities that people would not have had without remote work becoming a thing. So I don't like that. But, as a career coach, you've been doing this for a while. Have you ever been coaching someone and they just got rejected from a job? Like, what was that like having to coach someone through that experience?
I mean, rejection is a big part of the job search, unfortunately. And I've helped a lot of job seekers through the process. But the one that was the most personal to me was when I had somebody that was laid off from my team. They were interviewing for roles and they were rejected from 4 jobs back to back. And I'm talking about in the time span of a week. And that really gets you down. And so, of course, as a friend and a career coach, want to try to motivate them, keep their spirits up, let them know to keep trying. And it's hard because they're a career coach too. They know all of the tips and tricks that you're supposed to say, but it's such a demotivating feeling to get that much rejection in such a short amount of time. And so, if it's happened to you, my heart goes out to you. I know it's really difficult, but please, just try to keep your head up because your time will come. You will get an offer from a company that really is going to value you. It just takes time.
Even career coaches need some career coaching. Yeah. I'm like your life coach.
You are like my life coach.
I love that for you. Okay. So sometimes you have to be the rejecter as the job seeker because some of these job offers are screaming red flag and they're not really matching up with that job description that you first saw. So what are some red flags that you've ever seen in a job offer?
I mean, for me, the biggest red flag is when the company won't give it to you in writing. Because you can say all the things. You can say what the pay will be, what all the benefits are, but unless it's in writing and until you put your name on it and you know, that's a signal that you both agree to these terms, anything could be changed. So what about you?
Yeah, I think it would be something even like, you know, my friend said like, oh, you're saying it's remote, but then you want me to relocate. I think it would be very helpful for our viewers and our listeners if you could share some red flags that they could kind of pick up on in a job offer.
Well, I mean, I think you touched on one of the most important ones, which is the differences between what is offered to you and what the role really described. And we do call it a bit of a bait and switch, right? They lured you in with this posting where they're describing, you know, all of these details, and then you get the offer and it could be something totally different. So some of the things that you have to look for are, we talked about location. So whether or not the job description said that the opportunity was remote, but in the job offer, you see that you're required to be on site, either as a hybrid or completely. That would be something that would be a red flag. If the salary is lower than what you talked about, you know, if they're putting something that's on the low end of the budget, but you talked about how all of your experience, you know, put you at the top. That would be a red flag to me too. Looking at details like a role title. If, you know, the job description said you were at the manager level and then the job offer puts you at an associate, you should be wary of that. So all of these details are going to be really important. And of course, if you get them in writing, that gives you kind of the best opportunity to make that comparison.
Yeah, basically just looking out for things that like were completely different when you were at the job description, when you were in the interview process, all that fun stuff. Also, if you haven't already watched our Decoding the Job Description episode, you should totally check that out because I think that would help people for really understanding how to evaluate a job offer and whether or not it's like a red flag and whether they should reject a company. And also, we want to know what are some other red flags that you have seen in a job offer? Let us know in the comments down below. Okay, so switching gears a little bit, I think that it's really important that we go back to our viewer question. A lot of people don't want to burn bridges when it comes to declining a job offer. Like they really don't ever want to decline a company that may be a company that's for them, but it really is just this particular role. Have you ever had to decline a job offer before, or did it ever go bad? Like, tell me about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's a valid concern, right? Because, I mean, you are appreciative that you got the offer. It's not right for you, but it is kind of hard to state the reason that you're rejecting it. So I have been in that position before, a time when I had 3 offers that I had to evaluate. So I had to say no to 2 of them, of course. I rejected the other 2 offers over email, but I will say that I did put a little bit more time and effort into one. I had done an interview and received an offer for a recruiting manager position. And the team lead that I had interviewed with was a woman that I had grown to really respect in the interview. I could tell she was somebody that if I was to work there, I would really be able to learn from her. She seemed to really care about her team. You know, she had been with that company for like 25 years and, you know, really grown with it. And so even though the offer wasn't right for me, you know, she was somebody that I would love to keep in my network and, you know, potentially have as a mentor. And so I made sure that I really crafted an email that expressed all of that, you know, expressed that even though the role wasn't the right one for me, you know, I really valued her time. And hopefully, you know, she could be somebody that I could still reach out to in the future.
That's nice. I think that you gave a lot of little tips, little nuggets from your personal experience. So if you're a job seeker, what is the best way to decline a job offer? If you could give like your top tips for that.
So if you're going to decline a job offer, definitely try to make it as personal as possible. So you could decline over the phone or by email. I personally prefer email because it gives me more opportunity to really craft what I want to say. You do, of course, want to express your appreciation and gratitude. You want to make sure that you explain your reasoning and not just, you know, say, you know, I'm not going to accept it at this time. You want to give them a little bit more detail. And it's really interesting because sometimes people ask me, if I'm rejecting an offer, should I tell the company that it's because the other offer was for a much higher salary? Absolutely. If their offer is coming in well below market value, they should know that. And it's really interesting because a lot of times when they have that conversation, recruiter's already aware of it, So it's not in bad form to state, what the reason is for accepting a competing offer. Mm-hmm. And you want to make sure that you wish them well. That's really a thing. If you're being very professional and expressing your thanks and expressing gratitude and making sure that you're leaving that door open, you're not going to burn any bridges.
Beautiful. But, there are probably some things that people should avoid. What should a job seeker avoid when they're turning down a job offer?
Ghosting. Just not saying anything. That's really hard. And I think that comes down to, they don't like to be rejected and they don't want to be the one rejecting. Mm-hmm. But not saying anything is one of the worst things that you could potentially do. I talked about being able to explain the reason. Being too vague or even over-explaining could both be things that you want to avoid. And forgetting to be professional. The recruiter and the interviewers have spent just as much time as you have and invested a lot into putting this offer together for you. And, if it's turned out it's not the right one, you want to make sure that you're still being formal and that you're being professional in delivering your reason for turning it down.
That's really good advice. I think it's important when you're talking about rejecting a job offer and you are still interested in the company, or like you were saying earlier, you really wanted that woman in your network, just having that mutual respect, because you don't want to ghost. I was scratching my head earlier because I really do think I ghosted. But it was like an unpaid internship. So I was kind of like, I thought this was paid. But no, I completely get that now that I'm at this part in my career. But yeah, this was great. You are so insightful. Ugh, I love everything you say at all times. But just to wrap it back up and kind of go back to our viewer question, how can you avoid burning bridges when you want to turn down a job offer?
To avoid burning bridges when turning down a job offer, you want to be clear and be firm. If the job's not right for you, it's okay to express that. You want to give a reason, but don't be too vague and make sure that you don't over-explain. You also want to express gratitude. Thank them for their time. You want to maintain that mutual respect. You also want to make sure that you're turning it down either by phone or by email. If you're writing an email, that gives you more time to draft a response. And you could even have somebody look it over to just check it to make sure that you're coming across very professional. And then ultimately, you want to make sure that you're leaving the door open for future opportunities.
I love that. That's great advice. As always, you are my favorite little career coach queen. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Job Search Stories. Please make sure to subscribe to the Indeed YouTube channel because we have so much more content to help you in your job search journey. And if you have any more topics you'd like us to cover, please make sure to leave a comment down below. Bye.
Bye.
It's okay. I'm just like, what does that word say?
Just a small request. I wrote the same thing and oh no, I didn't. Huh. Okay, I just clicked in the wrong
You're
spot.
Like,
so one more time.
I don't have any tips.
One more time. How now, brown cow? One more time.
Go to it.